G'day and welcome to Perth Property Insider. I'm your host, Jared Mann. And today I'm running through the inside view of a book that I wrote during the middle of COVID when things were really quiet. I penned a lot of ideas down and I ended up calling it the Ultimate Home Seller's Guide: How to Master the 5 Price Influences and Sell Your Property for More. So, in today's episode, I'm going to unpack a bit of this book and go through some of these, or two of these price influences. And I'll certainly put in the show notes a link to a free ebook copy of my book so that you can check out the other three and also go into all 5 influences in depth. But today, I really wanted to, go deeper to prepare some of our clients who, and many of which have been looking to sell a property and trying to choose the appropriate time. And things are looking up in the market. And, I'd certainly suggest you check out episode 2 on riding the emotional roller coaster and hang in there if you don't have a great reason to sell. But if you are looking to sell, I really want to make sure that you're getting as much for it as possible and knowing what to expect so that we can, reduce the stress around the sale. So that's ultimately why I wrote this book, to help people do those things. And I'm excited to take you through it today. Let's go inside.
Welcome to Perth Property Insider, where you will learn how to grow your wealth and improve your life using Perth property. Our show is brought to you by Investors Edge Real Estate, the highly rated and award-winning property management specialists servicing the whole of Perth. Now, here is your host, Jared Mann.
So let's jump in a time machine and set the dial somewhere in the future where I've just sold a property for you. You're 110% happy with the result, and the overall process has been a really great experience. We achieved a top market price on the terms that you wanted, and we haven't spent long on the market. The timing's actually been perfect for you to do everything that you want with your next purchase or to retire with lots of extra money in the bank. And let's say I've worked with you throughout the whole sale. So I first of all helped you decide on how to present the property. I've made suggestions on improvements. I've connected you with my trades and suppliers to get things done at cost effective prices and make sure that they're done quickly. And I've then, worked with you on setting a really great marketing plan that has exposed your property really well without wasting money. And then once we've got that interest into your property, I've gotten all the feedback for you so you're able to make decisions with me, and whipped all that interest together and gotten the very best price out of the market, negotiating strongly for you, knowing when to push and when to pull and when to, what's needed to help move a buyer forward. And then once the property's sold, on our way to settlement, I've managed the whole thing in a really smooth way. Some things might have come up at our final inspection, and I've used my trades again to get things done quickly. And we've proceeded to settle for a really smooth overall transaction where you've gotten the very best price possible. I guess if that was to happen, you'd look back and you wouldn't change anything. It sounds like a pretty perfect scenario. But unfortunately, the reality is that a lot of sellers don't experience that. And I've been a seller selling my properties interstate and experienced many of the opposite things to this. And it's also gone into giving me a huge amount of motivation for getting all of these points right for my clients when I sell for them. As a seller, you really only get that one chance to hit the market properly and to maximize that buyer interest. And selling a property for a top market price, it's not rocket science. I used to do a hell of a lot more complex things when I was an engineer, but it does require both the owner and the agent to work together to get ultimately great outcome. And that doesn't always happen, unfortunately. So I guess the reason that I've written this book, The Ultimate Home Seller's Guide, is to take you inside the main price influences, and there's 5 of them I've broken it down into, for how you can really maximize your sale and set it up to be without stress. So great results don't just happen by accident. They're, co-created by both the owner and the agent. And I really wanted people to know all the things that they could do and what I was going to do behind the scenes to arrive at that ultimate result. And sooner or later, when you are selling your property, you'll have an offer document in front of you that you're being asked to sign. And believe me, when you're at that point, you want to be sure that you've done everything possible to get the very best price for you. I guess my main objective of writing this book was to prepare people so that they can influence their price and they do have a smooth sale. And I guess I also feel better knowing people know what's coming every step of the way. Now, as I outline in the book, the five price influences are presentation, marketing, buyer management, the market, and the real estate agent or me. So I go into each of these areas in great depth in the book, and feel free to grab a free copy of the book from our show notes. There'll be a link there so that you can get stuck into all the detail if you do want to go further into it. Now, today I'm going to touch on the first price influencer, which is presentation. And that may sound really obvious, but so many sellers get it wrong. And I'm also going to touch on the fifth price influencer, which is your real estate agent, and what I can do to ensure that we get that ultimate home sale experience. So, presentation. I guess poorly presented properties definitely attract fewer buyers and they take longer to sell and they generally sell for less. So, people sometimes ask me, is it worth investing in presentation to enhance a property's appeal? And I say definitely yes, but it is also impossible to say the exact return you're going to get for the money that you put in. You can get some idea, what renovated properties are selling for, what unrenovated properties are selling for, and make sure that you don't overcapitalize when you're choosing how much to invest. And I generally, when you're setting a budget, I choose generally to spend no more than 5% when you're just improving the presentation for a sale. But if you're going to go and do a renovation with kitchens and bathrooms, you do need to look at those differences between unrenovated and renovated selling prices. And you do need to make sure that you probably spend no more than 10%. Do have a episode on renovating to get some more tips in there if you're doing a larger scale type thing. But I guess, how do you go about choosing the things that are going to make the biggest difference? Now, what I like to do is place myself in the buyer's position when deciding what needs doing. And I imagine they're browsing online, and I want to make that hero image, the first image that they see, to be as compelling as possible so that they click in and decide to spend more time on looking at your property. Now, that is absolutely key to get right. And it's usually the outside of the property, or if you're selling a unit or an apartment, it can be the inside, whatever is the next wow image that we can get. Sometimes we might use an outdoor entertaining area or pool as a wow image, but we really want it to be the most strongly appealing image to get the buyers to click in. So if you are in that preparing your house for sale phase, you really want to go out, and if we're likely to use the outside as your hero shot, we want to look at how things are presenting from the outside. How's the garden? Is everything looking immaculate? Is the walls, all the gutters presenting really well? Is that going to draw people in? So that's where I would spend a lot of time, but I'd also try to bring the overall property up to an even standard so that buyers can't go tearing any one factor down. And how do you decide what things to do towards this? Well, you may go through the property from front to back, make a hit list of things, and I would rank on a scale of 1 to 10 each item, what sort of difference it's likely to make to the impression as to buyers as they're walking through. And obviously start with the higher ranked things, set priorities for where you spend your money, and try to incorporate some wows into your property as well. And that can be worth spending the money on. just so that people can get emotionally excited about your place. I guess many sellers can get a bit confused and things can get messy in terms of all the things that they're doing. But that's where I can come in and advise on the absolute essentials and connect them with my trades and suppliers so that things are getting done cost effectively and quickly. Presentation, absolutely key for maximizing your selling price and having a smooth sale. And in my book, I touch on the second, third, and fourth price influences. So dig into those, grab a copy of the book. But now I'm going to touch on the fifth price influencer, which is your real estate agent, or what I can do ultimately to influence the selling price. So I do get often asked, how do I arrive at such great results for my clients? And I kind of liken what I do to being a skilled surgeon. Now, a surgeon would have a similar operation on a regular basis, but no two procedures are ever exactly alike. They're similar, but they use their professional education and their experience, and it's gained over many years. And it's normally, the true test of a surgeon's normally when things go wrong, how they handle those situations. And that's really been the difference in what I've brought to sales over the last 2 to 3 years when the market's been a lot tougher. I've created demand and gotten the best out of the market when there's very little and really gone the extra mile for my sellers to, get the best that's out there. So there are a lot of variables that'll determine success. But I know when to push, when to pull, how to work with buyers to ultimately negotiate the very best from the market. And that's one of the biggest things I can add to the sale. So I know we're not managing life or death operations when we're selling a house, but it is extremely important because we're got an influence over substantial sums of money, and I know the difference that this can make for my clients' lives. And that also gives me a major driving force and buzz to get that result for them. So I do follow a set procedure and a formula that I've, I guess, perfected over 12 years, selling hundreds and hundreds of properties. And while every property is different, every seller's different, every buyer has their own agenda, I guess ultimately I'm focused on marketing the property at its very best, then ensuring that we get the best price from the market and handle, I guess, as much of that stress for you along the way so that you don't have to worry. Now, do make sure you grab a copy of my book, The Ultimate Home Seller's Guide, and I'm more than happy to give you input on your property sale plans. Feel free to get in touch for a free sales appraisal where you can either do an online version or I can meet with you at your property and make sure that you're going to get the very best price without all the stress along the way. See you on the next episode.